Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Chester deliberative meeting for today, Monday, June 9th, 2025. It's 2 p.m. In attendance is myself, Councilman Davis, Councilwoman West. That creates our quorum. Mr. Solicitor, please take it away.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the public, members of council, welcome to the June 9th, 2025 deliberative meeting for the City of Chester. The following ordinance will be voted on at Wednesday's regular meeting. Bill number 2, first reading, repealing Article 1715 of the codified ordinances of the City of Chester entitled Pre-Sales Inspection of Residential Properties and Units. The following resolutions will be before council for passage as well. Resolution 69, authorize approval for the release of the remaining development improvements agreement security in the amount of $111,423.60 in accordance with the recommendation of the city engineer, who has conducted an inspection of the property and has determined the project has been completed and the remaining funds are to be released. Resolution 70, authorize approval of the proposed transfer of Pennsylvania Retail Restaurant Liquor License Number R7363, LID number 112593 from 351 COK Inc. at the 351 South Springfield Road, Clifton Heights, Delaware County, Pennsylvania 19018-2328 to the Wolf Lounge LLC for a restaurant facility to be located at 1 West 3rd Street, Chester, PA 19013. Resolution 71, authorize approval of the proposed denial for the Highland Deli Market Inc. for an intermunicipal transfer of an eating place retail dispenser license number E4712 from 6801-01 Marshall Road, Upper Darby, PA to 2740 West 12th Street, Chester, PA, is hereby denied, as same would adversely affect the welfare, peace, health, and morals of the municipality and its residents. Resolution 72, authorize approval of the redevelopment agreement between Redevelopment Authority of the City of Chester and Velar Properties for several properties located in the 300 block of East 10th Street. Resolution 73, authorize approval of the submission of a grant application with the United States Department of Transportation for the Safe Street and Roads of All SS4A in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for a demonstration program along Highland Avenue between Swartz and 12th Streets. And that would conclude the list for today.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Before I ask if there are any questions from up here, let's have a quick presentation from Ms. Gaffney, Mr. Fritz, on the Pender. Which one is that one? That is R72. Authorize approval of the redevelopment agreement between Redevelopment Authority and the City of Chester and Velar Properties. I'll just preface it with saying that Mr. Pender has been before us for as long as I've been in City Hall as a committee man, committee person 3 years ago. He's got a very aggressive plan to build housing, residential, mixed use, infill, and this may be his first proposal that's gotten this far in that whole mix. So we know you guys probably haven't seen it or heard about it, and if you haven't, here's our opportunity to see where we are today.
Will we be able to see any pictures of it?
Thanks. Not to steal your thunder, it's 6 townhomes located on the east side on 10th and, what's the cross street?
Yeah, it's East 10th Street, Elizabeth Street is the alley, and Madison is one block to the west. Yeah,
Right. And it includes parking.
correct. I thought maybe what I should do is just introduce the project because a sketch plan of the proposal did come across the desk for the Planning Commission at last month's Planning Commission meeting. Again, it was a sketch plan, so there was no action taken by the Planning Commission. But just to be clear, it's a project that's on lots 313 through 329 East 10th Street. It's 9 existing lots to be reapportioned into 7 lots to construct a 3-story building plus a basement on each parcel for the purpose of containing 4 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartments in each building. So there's 20 total dwelling units. And then there's a small 10-foot by 10-foot courtyard in between each unit. Included, as the mayor said, there's 30 ground level parking spaces and 2 ADA parking spaces. So this is intended to be what I would call workforce housing. I don't think there's any designated quote unquote affordable housing, but it's workforce housing. It's more affordable housing than obviously luxury housing. And during the sketch plan, just so you know, and this is in the meeting minutes from the May Planning Commission meeting, there were comments that there may be a need for some zoning relief for a setback off Elizabeth Street, and that's only because we just needed more clarification on the layout. And that's kind of typical in a sketch plan. We don't get all the details that we need. There needed to be more information on turning radii for the fire trucks to get around the site. And there were some other minor details, but also including, from the engineer's standpoint, more information on stormwater management. But all in all, as a fit with our comprehensive plan and having more residential in our CBD and adjacent to the CBD, this is just one block north of the CBD, as you know. That is something that is needed. And this is really infill that was housing there originally. On a couple of those lots, there was a couple homes that were taken down a few years ago. They were, in my mind, duplexes. So you're going to get more density in this location, but it's also a good project in the sense that it's housing infill, which in my mind is needed. And I'm happy to take any questions about the development of it.
While we're taking questions, Justin, can you bring up a map over space view of the property? Any questions to Mr. Fritz?
Yep, you've got it right there. Nope, the south lots, the empty lots, right next to that new sidewalk.
right here.
Yep, right there, yep. And it goes all the way to, yeah, almost to that house that you see at 337. So it's 329 through 313. And again, Elizabeth Street's really an alley. It's not really a full width street.
Where it says 325, 327, and 329, is that all just trees and land? Or
It's vacant land with some vegetation on it, correct. And that's mostly where the parking will be located.
Okay.
So at what point do you, there's some residential around there, right, already?
There is to the south. Obviously, the Madison Street's got housing on it. It's vacant to the north, but my understanding is Mr. Pinder's interested in developing that side of East 10th Street as well, so opposite where this proposal is located. Which again, historically has been narrow lots, and that's where we had housing, either single family or duplex. And he does meet the parking requirements with the 30 parking spaces. So essentially, a 2-bedroom unit requires 1.5 parking spaces. So if you do the math, it ends up being 30 spaces, excuse me.
not that one was required, but was there any type of outreach in regards to the neighbors who live in that current area currently?
I can't speak for that. I'm not aware of him reaching out and having like a public meeting.
Right.
But I know he's talked to people, that's for sure, that he knows, and he is aware of the comprehensive plan and things like that, yes.
That is important, because I know that, you know, something's coming to a particular neighborhood, the
Mhm.
neighbors would like to know what's coming, you know? And I'm sure they will welcome a project like this, but, you know, it'll be some inconveniences along the way.
Yeah, and I think that one of the inconveniences I foresee, and it's a constraint throughout the city, is just parking. You know, the good thing is they're providing the off-street parking that's required. But as we know, they're gonna have visitors, there'll be on-street parking, there'll be UPS deliveries, et cetera. So there will be strains on that. And I agree with you that the adjacent areas should be aware of these projects. And that's something Kim and I are gonna be working on in the near future, where we actually notify people of land development projects that come through our office. Like in a formal way, and say, hey, by the way, there's gonna be this thing on the planning commission agenda, just to make sure people are aware of these projects coming across the desk, if you will, for City Hall.
What about the, safety, you know?
It's fresh and it just,
Do you mean by pedestrian safety or just overall safety of
Overall.
residents?
Because I think there have been some issues.
Well, partly I would believe part of that is just having those lots vacant. So actually getting more people in these vacant lots is a good thing in my mind. Gets more people eyes on the street, so to speak. And it actually supports our downtown in my mind, because you've got people within walking distance of the downtown. So hopefully that can also help our businesses downtown. But yeah, safety's an issue everywhere. In my mind, improving these vacant lots is really the next step to take. So in a way, we're supportive of housing in that whole eastern side.
Any idea what he's priced these apartments?
No, did we get, I don't know if we got costs on them.
I have a pro forma, and it might be 1,800, a little under 1,800 a month.
And
So
once he,
there's no subsidy in these projects, which is going to be interesting to see how that works. So it's a good thing. We need to start improving our housing market, so we can start having more development.
yeah. And remember, remember those words right there, improving our housing market. Like so many believe that we can only accommodate affordable housing until somebody takes a chance on Chester, puts in something new, puts in something that's market rate, and see how it moves. I really believe once it's successfully proven, then other developers will be likely to move in as well. Mr. Pender, I know he's local, but is he born and raised here? Yeah. Right. So it's great to see a local guy have that opportunity. Hmm?
Right around the corner on Road Street.
Okay.
Yeah, from this location, right?
His overall plan is very, very robust.
Do we have an estimated time of start and finish date for this specific project here? So I understand.
There are some, I mean, I would say there's a couple of infrastructure issues that need to be addressed on water lines, but he's looking to complete due diligence by the end of September, close on the property in October, start construction in January, and it will be a 15-month construction period, and then there'll be some period following that.
Okay.
So again, there will be glitches, there's always glitches in these projects, but we're gonna work through them in this.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All right. Any questions on anything else? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Any questions on any other agenda items?
The ordinance we have, first reading, can you explain what's going on?
The ordinance actually repeals the pre-sale inspection ordinance that came before I think that was the Housing and Economic Development Committee meeting that met a couple months ago. And one of the recommendations, and it was also a recommendation made by our previous Director of Community Economic Development, was to repeal that ordinance so that we could focus our efforts on the rental registration. So that came out of the Housing and Economic Development Committee as a recommendation to repeal this ordinance.
Is that saying that they're not gonna have pre-sale inspections
Correct.
anymore?
Yes.
So we don't have any record of what a property looks like as is? Because that was the reason for having a pre-sale inspection, so we have on record the condition of the property at the time of sale. I'm just wondering why it was.
It was a recommendation made by the committee.
Was it really? Let me see those meeting minutes. Thank you.
Fred was the chair.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get it from Joe.
Thank you.
I got a question on R71. This one might be directed to my solicitor here. It's written to authorize approval of the proposed denial.
Correct.
How do we get to a proposed denial? Is that from
Well,
the hearing?
there was a time deadline within which the city needed to respond, either approving or denying. So I prepared I had an agreement with council, and I prepared a denial by email, but it was not as specific as the resolution. So it's approving that.
Yeah. I see that. I don't know. I guess what I was expecting was not an approval of a denial, but, that we would vote for or against it overall. I mean, it's almost like we're going in saying, we don't want this, we're gonna vote to approve, we don't want this. I just, let's see. If it doesn't pass, does it mean it's approved?
If, I believe that there's been a denial issued based upon the time constraints, as I just indicated. So I don't,
Constraints to what though?
time constraints to respond to the, time constraints to approve or deny following a hearing.
That was the hearing we had.
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah.
ago.
Over the time limit.
Well, I didn't want to exceed the time limit, and certainly the sense I got from this council based upon discussions was that that would be denied. So I issued effectively a general denial to conform to the time constraints. So that's why it's worded this way, but it could be worded however you'd like to word it.
Well, how's it differ from R70?
No interim approval was issued on that. So that would be the distinction, but we can say authorize denial of, we can change that. If that makes more sense.
I don't know what makes sense. I just,
Are you asking if we're supposed to be voting on it, period? So that way we know if it is approved or not, denied based on the vote that we take?
correct.
Yeah, you're gonna vote on it.
But we can't vote on it, we already deciding that it's denied.
Well, no.
Has that
As-
that decision hasn't?
We, no,
That's-
that was an email between council based upon a discussion to toll the running of the time period. So you still have to vote formally in terms of that specific, the items contained in that specific resolution for denial.
Right.
Or it won't be, or someone could argue that it's technically not denied. But we extended the period of time, so now we need to do this to formalize it. But it can be worded however, Mayor. I mean, if you think that's confusing.
No, I just want to make sure we're not confused. So
We-
if we vote
Mr.
yes,
Solicitor?
it's denied. If we
It's-
vote
So-
no, it's
so we'll-
not approved.
If you look at the actual now therefore in the resolution, it says it is hereby denied as same would adversely, well, we're missing a word in there too, the welfare, peace, health, and morals of the municipality and its residents. So it's explicit in the resolution that it is denied. We could change the wording on the
We'll change
agenda.
the wording on the agenda, Janelle, but it is, as he said, explicit.
Okay.
I just didn't want to run afoul of that time deadline.
On R73, what's a demonstration program?
A demonstration program is a temporary program in which you're doing improvements to test out whether those improvements will lead to a reduction in traffic. So we're looking at things like, lines, crossbars, stop bars, extended curbs but not made out of concrete, made out of plastic, things like that. That are allowed under the program guidelines.
Is that what the 200,000 buys us, is something to demonstrate, or is it the plan to demonstrate?
No, to actually do the demonstration
Okay.
program. The plan has already been completed by the county, so we will be implementing one of the items for Chester in the county, and the county's program plan. So it will be an actual development project.
Gotcha. Thanks. Questions I had. Anything else? Anything from those of you in attendance? Well, I think we got it.
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't have any agenda questions, and maybe we can talk about it afterwards, but I had a question about the Mid-Atlantic Solid Waste Consultants fee. And, I know we voted on it, and then, it started out at 57,000, and then now I think there have been some changes added to the RFP, and now, another, 18,000 was added on to it, to the contract.
The 18,000 was an additional scope of service to use their expertise to help draft the RFP for the garbage contract that's coming up at the end of the year.
We didn't know we were gonna do that at the beginning.
That was not included in the original scope. And then after because they were doing a trash optimization and street sweeping route study. The original scope did not include doing an RFP for garbage services. And that's really a tremendous value because they speak the industry language. In fact, we just got the draft RFP last week. So we'll be looking to put that out for bid probably in the next month.
I'm going to piggyback on her inquiry. Did we, after we first engaged them to do the optimization study, was it because we gained confidence in their ability to do that, knowing that they could go even further and help us create the request for proposal, that we then engaged them?
Yeah, after we had our initial kickoff meeting with them, it became clear pretty quickly that their level of expertise could really help us with the RFP process. And even though that was done, I think it was in first quarter of the year, January, February, when we first initiated contact with them, it was not too early to start putting the RFP together. We wanted to put this out for bid. I think the last time the city put out the garbage proposal, they actually awarded it in like December, like a couple weeks before the contract was actually due to expire. We wanted to expedite that process in case there were any issues that came up. So the value after that initial meeting was really, hey, can you also help us do an RFP? Because that's probably one of the most critical RFPs we're going to do in the next several years. Just the cost of that, since it's a proposed 5-year RFP, existing garbage contract is actually 5 years. The cost escalator and making sure you bid it in a manner that the industry can understand and give us the most competitive bid, that was deemed critical. which is why we took the resolution to City Council a couple months ago to amend their original scope of service to include this additional service for $18,000.
And as far as timing concerned, you said compared to the last time when it wasn't approved until December, we wanted to get it done earlier so we can roll it into our budget.
Yeah, there were a number of things. If we looked, and I don't want to go 5 years into the past, but if we looked at the bid specs that were put out the last time versus the bid specs that we're looking to put out this time, there is some significant changes in that. We're hoping that leads to a really competitive bid proposal.
And where's the money coming from?
That comes out of the general fund,
Out of the general fund?
which we budgeted for that.
So I guess if it was a dollars and cents question, I'd ask the $18,000 that we spent for them to draft this RFP. Do you feel confident that we're going to realize at least a $18,000, I don't know if savings would be the right word, but
It's going to be hard to determine what the actual cost-benefit analysis would be because it's we're proposing a 5-year contract with 2 one-year options in the RFP. So comparing it to what we had under the existing contract, which will expire at the end of this year, you could expect that the costs are going to be higher 5 years from now. The rate of increase and whether or not that rate of increase will actually be reduced because we have a good scope of service is I think something that's where we're going to see the value. You're going to get a contract that's going to be much higher than what it is now. Our annual garbage fee is going to go up considerably. How much it's going to go up, that's why we want to have a competitive bid process. And this puts us in a position where I think we have a competitive bid process. Our esteemed CFO has reminded me that it's being paid for out of our solid waste fund.
anything else? All right. Can I get a motion to
Second.
adjourn? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Just some miscellaneous stuff that was needed from like Amazon, order filters. So I got documentation that I'll submit. I emailed this to you because I didn't think I was going to see it today, and then I realized we had to meeting. Just disregard that email. Thank you, sir.